We're going to be doing chanting, and you know, if you would like to have a name called out on the prayer list, you can write a name on a piece of paper and put it into the prayer box while Jack is speaking. And the chanting is I'll do a line and then you repeat it. And don't think about what you sound like. Just let it take you to another place. And the singing just lifts your heart, your kindness, your feeling of love, your connection with the divine, or whatever you call the ascended one, ascended master. But meditation is the key to life. Okay. Oh, my beloved, kindness of the heart, oh, my beloved, kindness of the heart, breath of life, I bow to you. Oh, my beloved, kindness of the heart, breath of life, I bow to you. And I'm coming home. And I'm coming home. And I'm coming home. And I'm coming home. Coming home to the light within. Coming home to the light within. Coming home to coming home to you. Coming home to you. Coming home to you. Coming home to you. Breath of life, I bow 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 to you. Coming home to you. Coming home to you. Coming home to you. Coming home to you. Oh, my beloved, kindness of the heart, breath of life, I bow to you. Oh, my beloved, kindness of the heart, breath of life, I bow to you. And I'm coming home. 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 And I'm coming home.
many years ago, when I was deeply involved in the spiritual journey. I set up a situation with the universe because I knew from what I had been studying that when we fall into the grand illusions of the world, we are so conditioned that we really cannot escape on our own. So the universe provides a mediary, and in A Course in Miracles, that mediary is the Holy Spirit. You can think of it as the Christ within, or you can think of it as some great guru or teacher. But because there's a lot of confusion in life, it's a difficult thing to do to turn over the limited thoughts and ideas that we harbor that have become part of us. So we're born into this grand illusion, and we are raised and take in these limited beliefs about life. But they become a part of us, and they become so natural that we respond from that belief and those beliefs and those ideas that were brought into our awareness at an early age, and then even beyond that. So I set up a situation with the universe. I imaged a table, and I vowed to the power of this intermediary that I will put on that table all the things that seem to me to be in the way of my understanding of the oneness of all life. If you really have an understanding of the oneness of all life, then you no longer ever need to forgive, because you no longer ever attack. When you come into the full realization of God consciousness, you are operating as a divine light emissary. There is nothing around you that you would attack, ever. So the idea that you have to go through life and forgive, which is a good thing, it's a good thing on the path, but it's some place where you arrive in the consciousness divine, you no longer need to forgive because you no longer judge or blame or attack. So I said to the universe that when I catch these things that are not in keeping with the divine oneness, I will put them on the table, and then you can take them away. This is what many people don't understand about life and meditation. When you sit down in meditation, it's a form of surrender of the limited beliefs and ideas that you have become conditioned to live in and from. But when you sit down in meditation, you relax the awareness. You don't try to block out thoughts. You simply relax the mind, and you may use a particular mantra or prayer or a single word or just breathing. But when you do that, This refined intelligence, which is at the core of everyone's being, begins to remove from the subconscious mind all the conditioned, limited beliefs, fears, concerns that are there. But when you catch yourself in one, you can place it before the universe and the universe will take it away. Had an interesting experience while that was going on, because I felt there were certain things yet maybe I didn't want to give up. But when and this is years ago, I had a dog named Skawaken, and he was a runner. He was Samoyed, which has got the wolf element in this dog. It's a white dog. And he wanted to be out in the grand forests around our home. And I took him out there, 4 or 5 mornings a week for an hour or two, and let him run and carry on and hunt and do all the things he did. But it was never enough for Skawaken. If the door was cracked a little bit to the outside, he would get through. And he'd just fire and run away. Usually I could get out quick enough and call him back and get him back. But one day he escaped and ran away, and I couldn't get out in time. But I figured he'd come back before nightfall, which he had done before. But he didn't come back at night. And next day I went looking for him throughout the mountains. And I couldn't even find his tracks. There had been snow on the ground, but I couldn't even find his tracks. He didn't come back the second day. And the third day I went looking again, and I couldn't find him. And he didn't come back. And that night, I said to the universe, because there's mountain lions up where I live, by the way. There's mountain lions, and there's, coyotes, and anything can happen to your dog up there. But I said to the universe, I never put my dog on the table. And I said it with real passion. I never said you could take that. So you're not supposed to be attached. I understand that. But I never put that on the table to be removed. And I said it powerfully and meaningfully. And the next morning, so he had been gone 3 days, 3 nights, and the next morning he came limping back, and he looked like he had been through hell. In fact, he looked like he had been dead. He was filthy, covered, weak, skinny, limping, and, up in the mountains, he couldn't have been hit by a car or anything. So we took him back in. I gave him a bath, and we started to put castor oil packs on his stomach because we thought maybe he wasn't eating. We thought maybe his stomach had turned. So we were putting castor oil packs on his stomach, and we nursed him back to life. But it is quite possible that he was dead. As it turned out, he came back to life, and he was his old self, still wanted to escape and all of that. But I do believe that fervent prayer, and I can say this, a couple of times in my life, I have really not just prayed, but I have prayed with a vengeance about something. And whenever I have done that, there has been a response, and I don't know why. I do a lot of praying, and I do a lot of praying for people. And I've been with people that have prayed with me, and some people have been healed, and some people have not. But I've never had those kinds of conditions where I was so vehement about this dog. And in another situation, I prayed I've told this story. If you haven't heard it, stick around. Come on Sundays too. Because these stories, eventually, you'll get them. And they will trigger some kind of spiritual understanding coming from somebody who wasn't awake at the time. I prayed a Roto-Rooter device, a snake that you use for cleaning drains. I prayed it into oblivion. It broke down when I was trying to use it on this was a New Year's Eve, and I was working as a maintenance man in a low-income housing project. And the toilet overflowed in one of these apartments, and everybody was partying. I don't know what they put down the toilet, but I had to go and clear that toilet. I went into the bathroom. I pulled the stool off and had this. It was an old Roto-Rooter snake, but it was one of the big ones. And I turned it on and had a broken switch on it, plugged it in, and I had that thing down I was running it down the pipes. It was down about 15 feet. And then it just coiled back up out of the pipe. You know, the power of it is still going around. And it just thrashed around the bathroom. I had to duck into the linen closet to keep from being hit with this incredible cable that just completely destroyed the bathroom, broke the sink, the toilet, the mirrors, everything in the bathroom. And I finally was able to reach out around the door and pull the plug and turn it off. You can understand it wasn't the best night of my life. I didn't want to be there in the first place. But when I came out of that, I prayed that this instrument would be damned to the oblivion of nothingness. I used to have situations like that with mechanical devices. This is a true story. I don't tell you false stories. If I tell you a funny story that isn't quite true and I just did it for humor, I'll tell you that was just joking. This is a true story. I damned that Roto-Rooter instrument to oblivion, that it may never be looked upon by another human being forever, till the end of eternity. Because I had to go out and I had to apologize to all the stupid people at the party. I had to tell them, I'm going to open up one of the empty apartments. You can use the thing over there. Don't stick stuff down in the toilet anymore, whatever. So it wasn't a good night for me. And I dragged the thing away. I took it out and put it back in they had this big closet where they kept all the instruments that the maintenance people had to use for that housing complex. And I put it back. But when another maintenance guy went to use it, he asked me where it was. This is a couple days later. I said, I don't know. And it was rusty and old. It's like, in a big hunk of metal. He said, well, I have to use it. I'm going to do this John over here. And I said, no, I used it on New Year's Eve. I don't know. I put it back in the shed. And he searched all over for it, and they searched all over for it, and it was never found. Nobody would have stolen it. It was just too rusty and ugly. So it is now, to this very day, in one of the craters on the moon, where it will never be seen. Anyway, going through the experience, when you get to the place that you're being guided to, by the way, we're all being guided to the same place. Some people are rejecting it and denying it, but we're all guided to become emissaries of light, enlightened beings. And at that point, as I said, you don't need to forgive anything because you're not blaming anything. There's no blame involved. So let me just read this to you from the Course in Miracles. This is one of many places that you hear this. This is really like, isn't it interesting that this is everything in this paragraph? You should be able to take this paragraph, and I know I had these paragraphs in my face for many, many, many years, and I still had situations that were not in keeping with the divine. But when you look at this, if you really got this, that would be it. This is from the old Course in Miracles text, page 448. When you have looked upon your brother with complete forgiveness, from which no error is excluded and nothing kept hidden, what mistake can there be anywhere you cannot overlook? What form of suffering could block your sight, preventing you from seeing past it? And that illusion, and what illusion could there be you will not recognize as a mistake, a shadow through which you walk completely undismayed? God would let nothing interfere with those whose wills are His and serve it willingly. And could remembrance of what they are be long delayed? My mic is ringing away. If you can fix that, it'd be great. Thank you. When you have looked upon your brother, and in this you have to add sister, everything is in the male text here. When you have looked upon your brother and sister with complete forgiveness, from which no error is excluded and nothing kept hidden, what mistake can there be anywhere you cannot overlook? So there's your yoga. There's your daily yoga. And if you catch yourself holding a grievance against someone for any reason whatsoever, know that you're holding it against your own enlightenment. You're holding it against the joy, the happiness, the peace, and all the harmony that comes to you in the consciousness of God. You're holding that to hold yourself outside of the enlightened state of awareness. And so that's our daily yoga, to look past the seeming errors of people and the seeming errors of life. And where does that bring us if you're doing that? It brings you into the present moment. You're looking past the errors that you may have thought you committed in your past. You no longer involve yourself with bringing yourself into that state of unhappiness by revisiting them in the memory. Oh, I shouldn't have done that, and when it went that way, and then the idea that the future hasn't really arrived. It's simply an imagined future that we have. So why make yourself unhappy with the imagined things? So if you get yourself to that place where you're looking past all error and looking at the present moment, getting rid of the whole idea that the Western culture has pushed into your head that you have to get somewhere, get something done. And when you let that go, nothing is necessary, nothing is needed, nothing is wanted, nothing is feared. And you let that go and say, I'm here now, just here. If you practice that, what's going to happen is you're going to become overwhelmed with the miracle of being alive. Everything that we're doing outside the enlightened state is taking for granted the whole illusionary idea of existence. We take it all for granted, and we see ourselves separate from it. But if you were to take all the stuff that's been brought into your thinking about what's going on and who's doing what and when it's going to happen, if you were to slowly let that go, you would be overwhelmed in this present moment by the miracle of being alive, just being alive, looking at everything and honestly seeing it, not labeling it and walking past it, but seeing it, seeing the beauty of the sky and the clouds, seeing the miracle of snow, seeing the majesty of children at play without any concerns in the whole world, just playing crazily, foolishly, wonderfully, joyfully, or laughing. They're just laughing and laughing. Or see the real dog, this beautiful creature that has never held a grudge against anything or anybody. You can slap that dog around and he'll come back a few moments later and be your buddy. Because he's a miracle. That dog is a miracle. And everything that you're looking at is here. And it is God being here. And when you see that, your heart will be wide open with the love of life, the miracle of just being alive, which we walk past every day. Get the cup of coffee, run out into the world. There's so much things going on. Got to get this done, that done. Walking over everything, missing everything, not here at all, but somewhere else. And this moment is never good enough. Do you see how we've been badly conditioned when we should be alive in the majesty of the awareness of God? And that's what this is all about. And this is the journey that we're on. And you'll know it as you become more and more involved in looking past the seeming errors in life, being okay with them. You see, when we talk about being here now, I suspect that some people immediately think if you're in this present moment, then everything is going to be just beautiful. Yes, it is just beautiful in this present moment when you're there. But it doesn't mean that everything is going your way. Look at the difference in that. When we're in the illusionary state of consciousness and we say, oh, everything is beautiful or everything is good, it means that everything is meeting my personal expectations. But look at what mastery really is. Mastery is not mind over matter and getting everything to suit your personal expectations and desires. Mastery is being present with anything and everything that's going on and being absolutely okay with it and willing to bless it and flow with it and be unthrown over by it. And then you feel the love and the beauty of mastery. That's what we're all about here. That's it. I've been meditating for over 40 years. Sometimes I'll have, I'll have a jarring experience like I had the other day in that bathroom out there. If you were at the service on Sunday, you heard that story. But I'm not thrown by anything like that. Because I so enjoy the freedom and the peace of being in the awareness that there's only God. So looking past the seeming errors and difficulties and conditions and circumstances has become easy for me. Sometimes I had a young man once that came to church with his mom, and he was sitting, and after the service was over, and he had been coming for a while to the services and not going to the Sunday school. And he came up with his mom, and people were talking to me, and he kind of, I guess he was about 7 years old, and he said, "Do you think you'll ever run out of words?" I guess he'd been waiting all that time for me to run out of words. He's bored stiff for weeks, months on end. Are you ever going to run out of words? My mother comes here. It's only going to, when you run out of words, she's not going to come anymore. I don't have to be here. It was terrifying to me. All of a sudden, no more words. Okay, we're going to meditate again tonight. Best medicine on the planet, meditation. Even when you don't think anything is happening and you're sitting still and just letting things be okay, letting yourself be okay, and arriving in that wonderful place right here and now. There's amazing healing taking place in the depth of you. So we will meditate together to the bowls. Again, if you don't have a particular meditation technique, you can use this mantra. There is only one everything. In you, in me, in everything we see. There is only one. There is only God. Let us take a few moments to pray for those whose names have been submitted to our prayer list. Because all minds are connected, it is possible for us to just feel love, healing love, going out just by seeing the name in the light, feeling the love going out to that name. So do that now. As Norma calls the name, just feel the light of God going out to that person.
The children and grandchildren of S. Salazar, Haley Packer, Lisa Piazzi, Clarence Dute Chappell, Todd Chappell, Scott Chappell, Jess Chappell, Marilyn Lehman, Tanya Hubler, Micheline Chappell, Caitlin and Brandon, KB, Colette, Marilyn, Don, Ann Turncliffe, Wayne and Susan, Lila Leland, Colin Jones and family, Jerry Park, Lori Park and family, KB, Colette, Marilyn, Don, Sandy, Tim, Lori, Dan, Lydia Johnson, Gail Wagner, Steve Taylor, Pat Johnson, Dal Bigtree and family, Dan James, Julia, Sharon Lippy, Arnie, the fires in California, the air, the water, and the earth. And if you would like to call out a name at this time, you can do so.
D. Matthew, S. Casey, S. Daniel, and,
We see this healing light surrounding the prayer box, and all the people whose names that have been submitted throughout the month. We see them healed, physically, mentally, and spiritually.
let us become aware of this divine presence opening up in the consciousness of everybody sharing this Boulder community with us. And it opening up in the consciousness of everyone sharing the state of Colorado with us. And everyone sharing these United States with us. And so on throughout the continents of the world. All the peoples of the earth, recognizing our interconnectedness, recognizing the divinity of creation. And this moving through all the creatures on this planet, all the marine life, all the waterways, all the mountains, all the forests and deserts, returning to the pristine majesty, the golden age of divine peace and love. As we pray, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And God is love. Amen. We will take an offering for unity now. Okay, here's the way it goes. Steve, I want you to make a copy of this service available. Farouk, all these people turned out on this coldest night. Seriously, you know. So I want to give you a free copy of this evening's service. So Steve, make an outfit. All you have to do is go back to the bookstore and Farouk will give you one. Steve will make them. As we take our offerings in our hands, let's bless them with this offering.